Okay, John, we're here to do another quarterly report. We didn't get to do it in January because we didn't have our quarterly Sampo meeting, so we kind of skipped January, but we're here now. Yep. Okay, so lots of stuff happening in Sweetwater. So, John, I'm going to let you start because what the people want to know is, when can they get KFC chicken, John?
Well, hopefully, keeping our fingers crossed, hopefully the beginning of next year. So I did speak with some representatives from KFC. They did reassure me that they're still committed to the project. January of 2025 is now the target date for them to begin on KFC. What they had run into was a couple of KFCs that had been in the community for 20 plus years, nearly 30 years, near their home base in North Carolina, had burned down recently. So essentially what happened is those projects took priority. We got shuffled back a little bit in the mix, but they're still committed. They do have equipment here. They've got kitchen equipment here in storage. They've got HVAC units here in storage. So it's not that they decided not to build. It's just that they had to prioritize those other existing KFCs first. So they assured me they're still committed, looking like January of 2025 before they actually start building and moving dirt on this project. So keep your fingers crossed, everybody. KFC still coming, just a little bit later than we had hoped. And of course, back down Highway 68 this way, you'll see, if you hadn't already, the old Verizon building has been torn down. That's going to be a new fast-paced urgent care and a new Dollar Tree. And so those buildings are going up relatively quickly. That leaves a building on the other side of 68, what is now the Dollar Tree building, that will be available for commercial lease. So hopefully...
Are you saying we actually have a vacancy somewhere?
We hopefully will have a vacancy or two. It will probably get snatched up pretty quickly. They do tend to get taken quickly around here in Sweetwater. So hopefully some other commercial business will snatch that up and lease it, and we'll have something else coming soon to report to you guys. But yeah, the Dollar Tree, the fast pace, they're coming along. KFC should be January of 25. The other project that's slated to begin soon is the Long John Silver's. So the existing Long John's that's been there for years will be demolished and torn down. They will be building back a brand new building, brand new facility. It'll look a lot newer, nicer, more modern, much like the new Wendy's. So that's exciting as well for those Long John's lovers out there. If you like your hush puppies, they're not going away permanently. It's just going to be for a little while until they get the new one built. I don't have an exact date on when that demolition is going to take place. I just know that they're moving forward in preparation for that. So it should be relatively soon on that end. And then as far as anything else commercial related that may be going on, nothing really new to speak of, just some of the projects that have been going on, kind of lingering on. We talked about in the past the Rendezvous Campground off Murray's Chapel Road. I did speak with representatives from that company. They are moving forward and hope to have some RV sites available within the next 6 months.
And that's a nice campground, right? Like it's got like concrete pads and nice campground facility.
Correct. So when you talk about RV parks inside the city limits, our regulations are a little bit different than your typical campgrounds that you might think of out in the mountains or over at the lake where you have dirt roads or gravel roads and things like that. The RV parks inside the city limits, the regulations call for paved internal streets. They do call for concrete pads to park your RVs on. So there are some amenities to that. It won't just be a dirt road and gravel road. It'll be a really nice campground when it's completed. They have scheduled to do that in a couple of different phases. This first phase will just be getting some initial spots set up and getting those spots available to rent, and then the rest of the build out to come later. So hopefully in the next 6 months we'll have an RV park at least partially completed as well off Murray's Chapel Road. And that's probably all the updates I've got as far as any kind of commercial build outs going on. I do have a lot of calls and folks asking about the property beside Walmart. If you're going south on 11, that is zoned commercial. We've talked about it before. Some developers did buy that. They've moved some things around in there and done some studies on the floodplain and where it lies with the creek and any dirt that might need to be moved to make that site more developable. And so, but nothing new, no site plan submitted or anything like that. But that property is all zoned commercial all the way down to Head of the Creek Road.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about residential.
So residential, we continue to have growth, which is kind of a buzzword now, but you see homes being built. We don't have a lot of big, large developments with multiple homes being built. We do have the next phase of Willow Creek that's currently underway. There's about 29 plus, almost 30 acres there that was purchased by a local builder, local developer. He's got about 4 cottages right now that are nearing completion that will be on the market soon. Those are designed, were initially designed for retirement-aged individuals, so the homes are 12 to 1,300 square feet. They're one-level, single-story homes. So those will be available soon, and then the rest of that build-out, the phase would include about 25 additional lots. The homes would be similar to what you currently see in Willow Creek. They wouldn't be these cottage-style. There's about a dozen of these cottage-style, 8 or 12 cottage-style homes on the plan. But the rest of the homes in there would be your typical homes that you see in Willow Creek when you drive through. And that kind of hits Willow Creek. You've also seen the townhomes on South High Street if you're going out toward Plaza 68.
So nice.
Yes, the townhomes, River Park townhomes, they're coming along nice. They're being well built. So that should be a nice addition. The building that you see when you go by there is the first unit in, I believe, 5 or 6. I'll have to go back and look at the plans, but that building will contain 4 townhomes. So 4 separate units, livable townhomes that are for sale. They're not for rent. But at completion, when all 5 or 6 of those buildings are constructed, there will be 23 in all, so 23 additional homes.
Okay. So one of the things people always ask about when we're talking about growth in Sweetwater, which everybody's noticed the growth, is the traffic. So our street department has been very busy. You can see they've been working on some projects downtown, but they also purchased a couple pieces of equipment that I want to tell you all about because it might affect your neighborhood. First is the hot box. The hot box, David could explain it better than I can, but basically instead of using cold mix to patch places in roads that are like potholes and things like that, we bought a hot box that enables us to keep the asphalt hot and use hot asphalt just like they do when they're paving to fix those areas. So there are several places in town that we've identified that need to be repaired, and rather than having to repave the whole street, which is, the cost right now is about double what it normally is to pave, we're going to be able to hotbox those areas, and it'll still be just as good as getting a new pavement job in that area. If you want to see an example of what this can do, if you go to the end of Railroad Street, we kind of squared up that area, and there you'll see a piece of asphalt that's a little bit darker than the asphalt that's down there, and you can tell that's kind of where we hotboxed it and patched it up. Also, when we make cuts in the road for utilities or something like that, we can hotbox back over it instead of having to repave the whole thing. So that's been a great addition in the street department. And then also they bought a paint striping machine. So rather than wait on these contractors that have been taking months to come in and restripe crosswalks and restripe lanes and parking spaces, our street department now has their own paint machine, has been trained on it so that they can do their own striping. So those are 2 things that they're doing now that we think is going to help. Also regarding streets, we have established a 10-year paving plan. So if you have a road that you notice is in trouble and it's not a state highway, we can't do anything about state highways. Those are not ours to maintain. We do not own those. But if it's a city street inside the city limits, call us. If you have problems, make sure we have it on our 10-year paving plan so that we know when we're paving things. Those on Hawkins and Linwood, which is clearly the worst area in town right now, in desperate need of paving, we got news from TDOT a couple days ago. The grant that we have to repave those hopefully is going to be moving forward with setting bids out very soon. So hopefully in the next month we'll be bidding that out. Let's see, 150 years. Sweetwater's going to be 150 years old, John. We have a birthday.
That's pretty old.
Yeah, in 2025. We actually have a meeting this afternoon at 3:30. Anybody's invited to attend these meetings and participate, but we are tonight setting the calendar for 2025 so that we'll be able to announce to you all the events that are happening to celebrate Sweetwater's 150th birthday. We want businesses that have been in business a long time and people who have lived here years ago and then came back. We want students. We want people to be involved in this. We're going to have an old-fashioned fair. We're going to have a Founders Day in April where you can tour through some of the historic buildings in downtown and see the museum and go through little stages. We're going to have a fashion show that shows fashion through the year. So it's going to be a very cool year next year. We're excited about all of that. Biggs House. A lot of people have asked about the Biggs House. It's the oldest structure in Sweetwater, we think. So this is at the corner of Biggs and Main Street, right next to the new Dollar General. That Dollar General did give the city of Sweetwater the Biggs home. We have applied for a grant to see if we can do the basic restoration work just to keep it standing and preserve it. What we would like to eventually do there is have like an entrepreneurial center to help business owners, or a co-working space. It might also be used for events, like if you had a little baby shower or sprinkler or something that you wanted to use the space for, you could do that there. The other thing we're working on right now is a community center. We have acquired, since our last update, we have actually purchased the buildings from the utility board. So the large blue building in the middle of downtown right behind the depot is now the city property and going to be our community center. And Sam Mosier is our architect drawing those drawings right now. So the next 6 months will be spent getting those drawings exactly like we want them, the layout. But the plans include indoor basketball, indoor pickleball, which, geez, pickleball has like taken off. Ever since we resurfaced those pickleball courts last fall, there have been a lot of people up at the pickleball courts next to the pool. So that's great, but we'll also have indoor facilities for that, indoor volleyball, indoor walking area, indoor meeting rooms, indoor event center. So the community center is going to be a long-term project, but we are now underway. We own it, and we are doing the drawings and applying for grants, so that's exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. Something that we've needed for quite a while.
Long time. Let's see. Okay, this weekend we have a baseball tournament. Aces, you want to model our T-shirt here?
I'll hold it. I don't think
that's not your size.
Medium, so I'm not gonna I'll hold it up here.
We still have some of these kids' T-shirts here at City Hall. If you happen to be a sponsor of this baseball tournament in honor of Ace Mason, it will be this weekend. We want everybody to come out on Saturday. Come to the Parks and Rec Complex. $10 to get in. 12 and under are free. Come support this cause. It's going to go to future investments in the kids that play baseball and softball in our area. Maybe one day to build a whole baseball complex. Who knows? Thank you for the generosity of everybody that supported this, and we're super excited to host these visitors to town. There's 15 teams registered right now for 8U, 9U, 10U, I think, aged groups, so hopefully we'll see a little more tourism this weekend from that too, which is great. Also, our biggest festival of the year is coming up May 3rd and 4th, Bloom's Bluegrass and Barbecue. We are totally sold out of vendor spaces. We have 110, 115 vendors. Barbecuers, if you want to try all the barbecue, go online right now, bloomsbluegrassbbq.com, and buy your People's Choice ticket. We only have 40 tickets left to sell. So if you want to try everybody's barbecue and get side dishes and desserts and a drink, it's a $30 ticket. All those proceeds go to Sweetwater Merchants and Property Owners Association, which is who puts this festival on. It helps us do micro grants back to those business owners, sponsor festivals, sponsor things in the schools. So lots of good work going on by that organization. And then we also have the Dine Out to Help Out, Sweetwater City Schools, April 25th. If you will eat at any of these wonderful restaurants, you can check out the City of Sweetwater Schools PTO Facebook page, and it also has a list of all those restaurants. But these flyers are here at City Hall if you want to see them. All of those restaurants will donate 10% of their proceeds on April 25th back to the school system, and that's divided out by student and sent out to the schools. So that money goes directly to the schools here in Sweetwater. So I think those are the things that are immediately coming up. Next time we do a quarterly report, we will have already had the 4th of July celebration. Yeah. So summer will fly by like it always does. What else, John?
Just a couple of things on the codes enforcement side of our job is just want to remind folks, because I did promise our street department I would mention this. It's mowing season, so we do have ordinances for blowing grass out into the street. What happens when you blow your grass out into the street is it washes to the storm drains and it clogs them up. So if you get a limb or some leaves piled up there and the grass catches on those drains, then it clogs up, then the roads begin to flood and people start calling and complaining. So just keep that in mind. If you're going to be mowing your yard, blow it back into your lot or rake it up and bag it up. If you rake it up and bag it up and leave it at the corner, the street department will pick up those clippings. Just please don't blow it out into the streets. That's correct. Yeah, it's not the safest thing. You know, motorcyclists can slide and skid on those. So please make sure to do that. And then also keep your grass mowed too. Rob Burris is our codes enforcement officer for property maintenance. This is his busiest time of year. If he gets calls and complaints of junk lots with junk cars or garbage piling up or grass that's overgrown and things like that. We get a lot of calls this time of year on those things. So please make his job a lot easier. Make my job a lot easier. Take care of your lots.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in. We'll do it again in July. In the meantime, if you have any questions, John Campbell, City Planner, 337-9678. Jessica Morgan, City Recorder, 337-6979. Our emails are posted on our website. Shoot us an email. We're happy to tell you anything we know that we're allowed to tell. We'll tell you about it. Thanks, everybody.
One last thing. I'm sorry. I forgot to mention this. Tiny homes. I get a lot of calls about that. Hey, I want to put this building up, this shed up, and live it. That is not permitted in the city of Sweetwater. You can go outside of the city limits into Monroe County, but inside the city limits, tiny homes were not adopted in Sweetwater. Single wides are not unless it's in a mobile home court or trailer park. So no tiny homes. You can't live in a storage building and call it a home. Everything inside of our city limits has to be built and inspected to 2018 code. Cannot live in campers. Seeing a lot of that right now too. A lot of folks that are moving in here not from our area don't realize that. Maybe they were able to live in a camper in another part of the state or even another state. But yeah, you cannot live in an RV here. You have to have single family residences connected to sewer, connected to electric. You can't live in RVs and campers, and you can't live in storage sheds or tiny homes.
Anytime we get to end these videos talking about sewer, it makes me happy because really that's what the glamour part of this job is, isn't it, John?
Absolutely.
All right, y'all call us if you have any questions. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.